Good morning, YouTube. It's Beck here from So Be Curated. It's Saturday morning. I'm the only one in the shop today. And I thought I might show you kind of some of the stuff that goes on probably on a quietish Saturday. There's a few things on locally that will make it quiet, and also the weather is weird, which I find always affects how many people come into the store, but we'll see. It might be really busy, you never know. Some Saturdays are crazy and some are really slow. So maybe I'll get lots done, maybe I won't. Okay, I firstly just will show you what I'm dealing with first off the bat. So I've just turned around, like the camera around, and there is a lot of new fabric. I'm really thrilled with all these greens. These are all from Riley Blake, and there's been some, I'm not sure what the delay has been, but there has been a delay in getting Riley Blake fabrics into Australia. So I'm quite thrilled with all of those. I have to say, I really adore this one. Oh, actually, and that one. This one. Look how pretty that is. But also this little kind of berry, I can't get it to focus, berry one down there, that's lovely too. Then a few pinks. They're showing up a lot lighter on camera. They're pink. And then some reds and pinks. An aqua and a couple of blues, which are just really lovely. So all of these are from Riley Blake. And then I love Riley Blake does this beautiful, I'm not sure how to describe that color. How do they, hold on, we'll go around and we'll have a little look at what they call it. Cider is the color, or butterscotch. Cider, butterscotch, and raisin. So all different colors. But they do great kind of dirty colors, which I really love to mix in so that my quilt doesn't feel too bright. I like a bit of dirt in my quilts, and I've talked about that before. So all of those fabrics I've just brought them in. They arrived late last night. And then I also got 3 wide backs from Riley Blake here. So I need to price and cut little bits of those off so that when people pop into the store, they can just grab a little piece if they need it, like from our lolly baskets. So fabric lollies, they're a fat 1/8. So we have warm colours over there, cooler colours over here. We do have some fat 8s, not as many. It's my little vintage area down the back here, which I've just stocked up in store actually. When I've been doing the kits for online. I'll come back to you. Okay, so I had to cut off really quickly because a customer walked into the shop, and I thought I might share kind of, I don't know, for people that are interested in small business, like how much money I made in store today, how much I made online when I finish this. So that will be only till 1 o'clock today. This afternoon, I'm racing up to Tamworth to help my daughter move out of university accommodation into her own first flat. So that's exciting. Unfortunately, she's twisted her ankle, so that's not great for her. But my husband and I are taking up her bed and things like that, that she left when she was in uni accommodation. And it's really exciting for her that she's moving into a flat, and she's got herself she finishes uni this year, but she's got herself a new graduate position as a registered nurse in pediatrics, which, I mean, she is absolutely thrilled, and we're so thrilled for her. She really had a really rough time during COVID with her mental health, like really rough. And for a long time we thought that, I'm not even sure, like, and she wouldn't mind me sharing this, but that she wouldn't finish school, or like she's a very bright kid, was an academically selective school, and anyway, she has done really wonderfully since in the last couple of years. Actually, moving out of home helped her a lot, but it's so lovely to see her thriving and doing really well. And when you've been worried about a child a lot, in fact, I designed the It's a Lot quilt with that going on because it was so much and we were so worried about her. And it's so lovely that she has come good. So anybody struggling out there with a kid, I hope it all comes together for you. Like, you know, anybody's got their own stuff going on. It's not like her world is perfect, but, you know, this has been a big journey for her and for us as her parents, and it's really lovely to see her thriving. So that's an aside. That's what we're doing this afternoon. But so it's now 11 o'clock. We open at 10. I got here about 9:30 because I had to take my husband to pick up the van to drive up to Tamworth this afternoon. So I was in late, or not late, but, you know, not early. And while customers were in the shop, I did some picking of things that have been ordered. I don't think we were quite up to date, like on Friday evening. When Emma and I left, there was a couple of orders. So I'll turn you around and show you what that looks like. So even though this area sometimes looks incredibly beautiful, often when we're picking for orders, or we've got a lot of orders in, we line them up here with things that are easy to grab off the floor and so that they don't sell out, like especially if they're one of a kind things like we did the Edie kits, Emma and I yesterday, and so a number of those have sold. 1, 2, I'm pretty sure a third one sold, so I better find out where I've put that. But so they're all the things that are easy to pick that I have put here with their order forms. And then we will probably fill those actually on Monday or Tuesday because I'm the only one in the shop. Nobody can get anything to the post office. There's one post office in Newcastle that's open till 12, but we won't get there in time. So there's no real point in packing them. So I think I showed you the wide backs. And that I think where I was up to is I was going to be cutting lollies of the new fabrics. And I probably won't do fat quarters of them at the moment. We tend to sell a lot more lollies in store than fat quarters, but I'll just give you a little tour of the shop while we're here and nobody's in it except myself. So here's our beautiful gingham cupboard, and that's my Orla quilt there. And this is a vintage quilt quilt top that I purchased. I actually purchased it to make it into clothing, but I loved it so much that I haven't done that. And it's a hand-pieced grandmother's flower garden kind of. So it's quite a lovely quilt, and some of it's really quite ugly, and together it looks absolutely amazing. And I like to have it there to show people that you can hate a fabric, but it actually does wonderful things for a quilt. We have had so much new fabric. So a lot of that in the yellow crate, which is where we normally keep our new fabric, is Japanese florals and stripes and checks and all sorts of things. There's a couple more Japanese on this little stool here, and 2 washi plus prints from Ruby Star Society. More beautiful Japanese. I think on the vintage plant stand it is the Yua ones. So that's all the Yua order there. Up on the wall here we have North Point. I shared this on Instagram recently and said I was surprised that it hasn't been a very popular quilt, because it's one of my favorites. And since then it's actually sold quite a few copies, and that's really lovely. But I don't know what it is about that quilt, because it's quite an easy make and it's really satisfying and lovely. So then on the counter I will get hopefully all those lollies cut, and maybe online. We have some cards that are just in store, like for when people are buying presents, and a couple of fun things that we've added, you know, for Christmas gifts, or people that come in that say, oh, I want to support you, but we don't make anything with fabric. Also new fabrics. So lots of 1930s down here, some beautiful prints from Tamara Kate. A lovely lady bought some of that, the moth and butterflies yesterday, which she was going to make into a top, which I think sounds fabulous. And then Karen Lewis textiles over here, plus some like strawberries and some more butterflies. So lots and lots of new fabric, and it's not actually the end of it either. I think I've got more coming. Our notions area, where we have notions we recommend and also patterns from other designers. So in our store at the moment, sorry about that poll there, we stock some Jen Kingwell and Louise Pappas, who is part of the Jen Kingwell collective patterns, and everyday quilts. I think that's all we have beside myself. We have some like kits from Zaka. So like kits or instructions really, but they are here. And then we have Sashiko products. So we have some Cosmo kind of printed designs. We have a few left of Sashiko Lab, Kazue's beautiful 3 fish design, and then we have some threads here as well. We also have some embroidery floss that's in store and some more notions. And coming over this way, we've just got some vintage bits and pieces, and then we've got a bundle of aprons. Aprons, if you're looking for vintage goods to, like vintage fabric, aprons can be really good to source and put into quilts. Sometimes the fabric can be terrible, but like in stained, but often they're not. They've been really well cared for, and I love to put, they've often got beautiful prints, and I love to put them into my quilts. And then I often use the ties for the aprons to tie a needlebook or something like that. So this is kind of like our service entry, and it's kind of what you see when you walk in the door. Hope I'm not moving too quick. More new fabric. So Anna Maria here, just the 3 over here, which are like bigger scale prints. They'd be, I mean, the big flowers would be wonderful sashed into a quilt. They're more, I think, cushions or upholstery. I just wanted to add a little bit of point of difference to what we had. And then some beautiful laundry basket quilt essentials here. And we have some Merchant and Mills fabric. Now this pink check is not online yet, sorry, it will be. And I have some more that I need to get onto bolts, and they will be on as well. And then we have bias binding, and we have these beautiful Fabric Journey ones online, and then the Liberty ones also online. Then we just have some Japanese little ones and these other ones that are just in store only. Okay, there's the phone, so I'll come back to you. Just took a phone call, sorry, from a customer that's coming to do Anna Bastian's class with us next Sunday, and I need to send out the email about those. So she was just a little ahead of me. Anna and I were talking during the week, and I'm planning to send that this afternoon while I'm driving to, while my husband's driving to Tamworth. So lots of fabric. Our shelves are pretty full at the moment, which is lovely. We do still have a little bit of room for the vintage treasures, which I'm pleased about because I like to display them. And I might just take you over and show you this little vintage area over here. And this is where we've kept my needle books. I've discovered another one has been stolen. It's so disappointing that people take things like that. Like, people have said to me for a long time, I need to kind of attach them in some way, but I really want people to be able to look and enjoy the things and be inspired. And if they're tied up, it kind of interferes with that. But, you know, at the same time, I don't want people stealing or taking things that are actually important and precious to me. So we have some vintage kind of kits in store at the second, and just, you know, examples of work and like lots of vintage bits and pieces really. Have some books that are in store. They are just, we don't ship those. Sorry, I'm just putting them back neatly while I'm talking. And then petite pan fabrics over here and some other petite pan kind of items that we have. These cool sardines, I can't resist a sardine, and little mice pin cushions. There's a bag that Lucy made when she did a zipper pouch class here, and we will be running some more of those next year. Then over into our teaching area, we're incredibly lucky and we worked really hard for a fantastically large teaching area. There's another table down the back there. So when we do sit and sews in classes, we tend to be around this table, but if we need extra space, we've got it here. And we have a little tea and coffee area. Up on the wall here, I have, this is like a 1-inch hexi quilt that I made. It was the first EPP project I've ever done, and I loved it. And then I got really over it, and people say, oh, the border really makes it, which I agree. But it was put on because I was bored of making hexis at that point. So that's, the hexis are appliqued onto that border. And then I have a bag here that I did in a Fleur Woods class that she taught in started in a class that she taught in our old shop, and I kind of had some textiles and had to go myself. And on the back wall is another quilt I'm reimagining out of old quilt blocks. I have 2 more Merchant and Mills fabrics here that I need to get onto rolls that have just arrived and then online. And this one is never done justice by a video or a photo. This is my Good Morn coverlet. So all vintage textiles. It's deliberate, like you can see down the side here, that wonk in the quilt. So I've used a very old tablecloth that was worn and lovely to start with, and it is a wonky base, it's wonky textiles. It is just, in my opinion, all sorts of fabulousness. So lots and lots of stitching on this piece that attaches all those textiles and keeps them from deteriorating. Some of them I've made, like the chicken scratch, but most of those are collected or gifted lovely pieces. Because I love that quilt so much. And it will be going home over summer to kind of be with at home. This is Dreams Happen up on the wall here. It's been getting a bit of love lately as well. It's a lovely quilt. I paper pieced mine, but you can hand piece or paper piece it. The pattern's written for both ways of construction. We have some vintage textiles that are for sale here. I need to top those up. I've got a lot more that have come back from a special ironing person, and I just need to price them. Beautiful Kate Vella artwork here. And we have a cupboard of vintage textiles. Now I need to replenish that a little bit, and I will be working on that. This quilt up here is my 4th tiny trip quilt. I started it when I was with Vicky a couple of years ago, and I loved putting it together. And I took inspiration for this quilt from this little vintage quilt top that I had sourced and loved, really loved, and I wanted to make my own. So that is how I came to make this quilt here. Got over here the vintage orange peel cushion, which is from Happy Clappy, and there's my summertime quilt. Down the bottom corner here is vintage geese. It's an Edie quilt top, which I haven't finished, which I really need to get to. And then it's a lock quilt. So sorry about the light, it's because of the natural light close to inside light. Little corner here that I love. I was going to turn you, but that will be difficult. That's an ironing board I covered in a vintage quilt. Another Orla quilt top here, which I haven't got to hand quilting yet, and will do hopefully soon. Here is, can I get rid of the, you can't get rid of the light, sorry, flashing like that. Here is my Gosling quilt, designed by Sue Garrett, Betsy Sawtooth Star quilt. This one I call a kitchen sink quilt, which is just throw everything in. Mine has a lot of feed sack and vintage fabrics in it. They're 4.5 inch cut blocks, 4 inch finished. A few vintage bits and pieces that we have around the store into the, so the entries here, just back over to the entry. We have some kits and bundles and vintage fabrics and, you know, all sorts of things, Firefly notes, tins, little pin cushions, vintage yo-yos in the shop. That's what I call the husband waiting area. And then some bundles here on this old kitchen hutch. And, you know, the front window here. So that's what the store's looking like at the moment. And now I need to go, I hope I'm not making you seasick, get back to cutting lollies of these. How are you? Okay, just interrupting my cutting of fabrics to say I have just had to open a second thing of pins, and we opened one a week and a half ago. So I think we have had over 100 bolts of fabric in the last 2 weeks. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I know it's crazy because of my invoices. And it's super lovely to get that much new stock into the store, and like, you know, it's very inspiring, all the new fabrics. It's not so fun to list them online. I'm going to be listing and listing and listing for hours and hours, and I have to take photos. So the rest of my morning in the shop, I have nearly cut all the lollies of the new fabrics. So I've just got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 left to go. Once I've cut those, I will then turn off the lights in the shop and work in the kind of natural light and take photos of the fabrics. It has been super quiet in here this morning. I've had 2 paying customers. A few people have come in and had a look around, which is nice. Busy online. So I don't know how businesses work, if they're just, maybe they're just very busy in store. I'm not sure. Our store can be really busy or very empty. We don't seem to have one or the other. Like, it's either a busy day or not a busy day. So today is not a busy day. And just to give you an idea, because I said I was going to discuss money a little bit today, and that's always, I love that as a small business owner. There's this great person on YouTube called Rondelle Designs. I'll link her down below, and she goes through what she makes completely at a market, which I just find really interesting. Bit of a sticky peek. So that is $1,000 plus $4,000 plus $400. So that is $400 worth of fabric that you could see that was on the front counter and on that set, the 3 wide backs as well. I'd like to say that's my biggest invoice this month, but it's not. It's my 4th smallest. Sorry, that's not the right way of saying. There's 3 bigger ones. So I have an awful lot of invoices to pay this month, and so you've got to hustle hard on getting stuff out and online and new things. And like, I would say I'm always hustling hard, but even harder. So that's what I'm doing. Some of these fabrics have been on order for over a year, which, you know, is super frustrating. They weren't due now. And it always happens. There's about twice a year where you get this massive amount of fabrics in 1 month, and it's really hard to manage. I get really stressed by it. My husband keeps talking about spreadsheets, and I keep ignoring that. And yeah, I just kind of get on with it and deal with it as best I can. Okay, I don't have my watch on. It's about, and I'm too low on the video. It's 12:52, says on our FPOS machine. Let me give you the grand total of what we've done in store today. Don't be shocked. It's been good, bad. What do you think? $49 in store. So that's a shocking day, a shocking sad day. It is super warm out there now. I thought the weather was really funny, but it's a beautiful sunny day. So I imagine lots of people are at the beach or just not interested in sewing today. Don't fret for us though. I just did look online, and we're over 1,500 online orders to today, which is like, it's nearly, it's 12:53 now. So that's not the end of the day. We may have a lot more orders. We may have no more orders. We're always incredibly grateful for any order. Online has really, like, both in-store and online can be all over the place. It used to be that I always could count on a certain amount coming from online, and now we have good days and bad days online as well as in the store, and often they are the opposite of each other, which is great, so I don't freak out. But what was I going to say about online? Online did suffer a lot from losing America, and I know American customers have asked me why we're not shipping there. Because we're a full service provider, I have to list over 3,000 fabrics with country of origin, HS codes, etc., and we're in the process of doing that, but it's a lot more than you would think, and having our site be able to take tariffs, and then there's a fee to process the tariffs from Australia Post, which is our shipper, or our shipping carrier. I don't know what you'd call that. Anyway, so, you know, it's not an easy process if you're shipping more than just little kits, because we could do the kits really easily. And I have thought about maybe only shipping some things to America, but I don't know. The whole international shipping has been very confusing as a result of what's happened with US tariff situation. And we are responding as a small business as best we can. We care very much about our US customers, and we're so sorry that this is the case. And I promise you, we're working on it hard. All that if you're an American customer. So, hold on, I just turned you around because it's a really bad angle. What I did today was I priced up some vintage goods that are just going to sit there until Tuesday, and I'm going to get Emma to put them around the shop. She loves doing that kind of stuff. I've picked for the orders, except for a couple that have just come through in the last hour or so. I haven't cut fabric for them, but everything that is just grabbing off the floor is done. I've taken photos of all the fabrics, priced them, cut lollies, I have not, I need to now go through, check the photos, make the listings, all the things. So this is one of the ranges of Riley Blake that came in, and it is called, gosh, that light is so annoying, isn't it? Gentler Times. It's really pretty. You can see how perfect it would be in kind of the kind of quilts that I like to make. So remembering that we're a curated fabric store, we're not, like, we have a large range of fabric, but I do not generally do whole ranges of fabric. So this would be maybe, this is quite a big order from one range. Often I'll get 2 or 3 upwards. Normally I try and, if I like a range, I try and get a couple that coordinate from it. But, so you can see that actually. Sorry, we're just going back and forth across the shop now. You can see that in these fabrics that I chose from Tamara Kate. So I love a bit of neon. The moths and butterflies was beautiful, and that green was gorgeous. So there's 3 that go together and you can plan around, but you know, there was a lot more fabrics in those ranges. So that's where we're at. And these are the other ranges of Riley Blake that came through. So we've got a couple, 2 prints from Penelope Cream, 4 prints from Simple Pleasures, and they're all the same print, just in the different colorways, and I think they're very cute. Might do a mini bundle of those. And then there's some from Summer Skies and Fireflies. So let me take you around this way. Greens and pinks and a bit of red in there. So that's where we're at on a Saturday morning. I'm out of here because off to Tamworth, as I said. And I would just like to say thank you so much, YouTube, for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope you get some stitching time this weekend.